RevenueCat just released Paywalls, and they take so much work off your plate as a developer. You can customize one of their existing templates to get something pretty good looking with relatively low effort, or you can use what I consider to be the killer feature, and that is the footer view. This allows me to design and build whatever paywall I want, and then bring in their footer view to do all the dirty work and the business logic, to display all the plans, show the proper pricing and discounts and free trial offers, and handle all the logic to actually make the purchase. Basically all the hard, error-prone stuff RevenueCat handles, and then I just get to have all the fun with the designs. Love it. And here's what makes RevenueCat's paywalls unique, is they are built natively in SwiftUI, so you're gonna get that Apple native look and feel. For me, that's a requirement for my app. The idea of throwing a web view into my app just hurts my soul. So yeah, you're getting native SwiftUI code here, which is nice. Aside from handling all the dirty work for you, these remote paywalls allow you to quickly make changes from the back end without having to go through the whole app approval process on the App Store. Want to try out some different marketing text? Want to change the color of the button? Or maybe you want to completely remove an entire section. You can make all these changes from the back end on the fly. This also allows you to run A/B tests between two paywalls so you can see which one is converting more users, therefore making more money for your app. This is a huge update from RevenueCat. They are sponsoring this video, but it's a slick product and the footer view has me genuinely excited. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through how you can use these paywalls in your app. Oh, and real quick, maybe you're watching this video and you have no idea what RevenueCat even is. So let me give you a brief 30-second overview. RevenueCat is an SDK that handles all the code for your in-app purchases and auto-renewable subscriptions. If you've ever tried to implement this yourself using StoreKit, you know it's a major pain. There's tons of edge cases. It's very easy to mess up. And the last thing you want to mess up is when your customers pay you. So the RevenueCat SDK was created by developers whose entire life and business revolves around in-app purchases and subscription. Like, they've seen it all. So it's a good idea to trust them with this aspect of your app. And if you have multiple platforms like iOS, Android, or the web, it takes all the purchases from those platforms, puts them onto a central dashboard so you can see all of your purchase data in one place with all kinds of graphs and charts, etc. If you want to learn more about RevenueCat, check out their website, and I'll link to a video I did all about them in the description. Before we start using these paywalls, I have a quick disclaimer. This video is not a start to finish in-app purchases setup tutorial. This video is focused on RevenueCat's paywalls. If I were to go through all the initial setup of your in-app purchases in App Store Connect and the RevenueCat website, it would be 30 to 40 minutes into this video before I even got to paywalls. So this video is starting at the point when paywalls would come into play. But don't worry, all that setup is covered in amazing detail in RevenueCat's documentation. They walk you through step by step. Not to mention, there's a ton of YouTube tutorials out there all about setting up in-app purchases and RevenueCat. So I'm not covering all that setup, but here's where I'm at in the process just to give you context. I've created my app and in-app purchases in App Store Connect. On the RevenueCat website, I've created my account and my project. I've connected my App Store account to RevenueCat, and I've configured my products, entitlements, and offerings, and I got my API key. Here in Xcode, I've installed the RevenueCat Swift package. A quick note on this, when you install it, add package dependencies, just like any other package. You can search for it here in the upper right, but I already have it searched for. So hit add package. There's these two, the parser and the custom entitlements. You want to select to none. Don't put those in your project. RevenueCat's documentation points this out, but I skimmed over it and missed this, so I wanted to point that out. Make sure you're only bringing in RevenueCat and RevenueCat UI. So I've already installed that. In my project here, I've already added the capability of in-app purchase. And I created my StoreKit config file. This allows me to test my in-app purchases right here within Xcode and my certificate here. Again, RevenueCat does a great job walking you through step by step on all of this. Finally, in my SwiftUI app here, I just initialize my app where I'm calling purchase.configure with my API key to initialize RevenueCat. I don't care if you see my API key, this project's getting deleted by the time you watch this video. So that's where I'm at in the setup process. And again, I got it up to the point right where paywalls come into play. So if I go to Chrome, here I am in the RevenueCat website. Just to give you context on where I'm at, I'm looking at my offerings, projects, RC paywall example, that's the name of my project. This would be whatever you name your app. You click on it, and then over here on the left, offerings, right? I told you I've already set up my entitlements, my products, those are already all set up. Paywalls, we'll get to that in a second. But right now I'm looking at offerings because offerings are the key thing to understand with paywalls. So what is an offering? An offering is essentially like, here's what's for sale. I know I'm using the word in the definition, but like, here's what's on offer. For example, one of my offerings is annual only. So in this offering, you can see I'm only offering my annual subscription. So my offering is one annual subscription. Now, with offerings and paywalls, they map together one-to-one. So you can have one paywall for one offering. So the reason we have multiple offerings is, well, one, you can easily switch between them on the fly if you'd like to do that. Or this is the key to running A/B tests, right? You can A/B test between one offering and another, and then each of those offerings has their own paywalls. So in this example, I would be testing between, hey, what happens when I offer only an annual subscription to my app? And then the other test would be, hey, what happens if I offer the annual and the monthly product? Maybe you want to see how well you can convert when the only option is annual, because we all know those annual customers are better, right? Lower churn rate, longer lifetime value, etc. So back to my overall offerings. This check mark, by the way, as you can see, the current offering. Only one offering can show up at a time in the app itself. Now, if I just confuse you on like how you can show two offerings, that's because one set of users is getting annual only and another set of users would be getting annual and monthly. That same user wouldn't get both offerings, just to clear that up. So one offering, one paywall. And then you can run A/B tests and experiments between those two offerings. Now, a quick tip on A/B test is you don't want to test too many variables at once. For example, if we were going to test out this annual only versus annual and monthly, we would want the exact same paywall where the only difference is one has only an annual offering and the other has annual and monthly, right? If you start saying, oh, and I'm changing a button color, and I'm changing the images, and I'm offering two different things, well, now you're not really controlling the experiment to know what's driving all the changes. So again, when you're building your experiments and building your paywalls, do your best to test one variable at a time. Okay, so let's add a paywall to our annual only offering. So I can click on that and you see there's an add paywall button, or down here on the left, paywalls beta. I can click on that and here I see my offerings and I can add paywalls to each one. So we're gonna start with the annual only offering, and I'm gonna show you this two ways. I'm gonna show you how to use the complete paywall, and then I'm gonna show you an example of just using the footer view, which again is what I'm super excited about with my own custom paywall. So at first, let's do annual only, add paywall. You can see these templates that you can pick from. So here we have like a typical like image, title, and then plan. This is what you want to use if you only have one plan. This one with the plane here, you can see it has monthly, annual. If you have multiple plans, you want to use this template. And then this is the Blinkist style timeline, popular paywall where you reassure the user that like, hey, you're automatically going to be charged in 14 days. And at day 7, you'll get a reminder. You're kind of like easing that fear of like forgetting to cancel the free trial. Okay, so we're going to start with this one, which just has the image, text for our full annual paywall. So now when I click on this, you see the preview. Now this is when we can start customizing this. Image, so you can drag and drop an image in here. So I have one ready here in my Finder, drag that over here, content creator. I'm gonna kind of make a paywall geared towards my app creator view. Now, quick note, you see paywalls is labeled beta. They only announced it for iOS. This is very, very early in the project. So those 3 templates you saw, give it a few months. I imagine there's gonna be many, many more templates. And then this editor, I imagine will evolve and grow and get better over time. This is literally version, I don't even know if it's called 1.0. It's technically beta. So anyway, if you're watching this at a later date, expect this to maybe look a little different, maybe have a little more options, but this is what I'm working with right now. So if I talk about the limitations of it, I imagine those limitations will be handled later. So anyway, when I put in this picture, something to note is that it's going to, if you have like a very long landscape picture, it's just gonna crop to the center of it. So you may need to do some editing to your picture, maybe try to bring in just a square and center it how you like. That's what I had to do with this picture. But anyway, you can put in whatever image you want. Again, I'm going the content creation route. Main content, the title, this is this Ignite Your Child's Curiosity. I'm going to say amplify YouTube earnings, right? My app is a YouTube business app. So subtitle, I can say track profits from revenue streams, plan your content, know your business. Now these text fields support Markdown. So I don't know, let's say I wanted to bold revenue streams just to like really let them know. So I can use some Markdown around it, or I guess that's italic. I'm not a Markdown professional. I thought that was bold, but anyway, you can see revenue streams is italicized. So whatever Markdown you know and you're comfortable with, go ahead and do that. Moving on, you can do backgrounds for light mode and dark mode. I'm not gonna change any of this because I want them to be just default, and you can preview that here in the upper right, display settings. You have dark mode, so that's what it'll look like in dark mode. Cool. I don't need to do anything for that because it's using the default backgrounds. Okay, so that is the basics of what you can do with the UI, right? I can change the image. Oh, not quite done yet. Down here in call to action, I can change the button color. So let's click on this, do the Finder here. Let's pull this teal out of that image to bring everything all together. We want the same one for dark mode. Go ahead and do that. There you go. So anyway, what I was saying, back to the call to action, before we set up like what package we use and all that stuff, as far as the UI goes, that's kind of like all you can do. But again, you get something pretty decent in what took me, a minute to go through as I'm explaining things. So these built-in paywalls are a great start for you, again, to get something quickly up and running. Again, the footer view is what allows you to just go wild designing your own paywall, We'll get to that in a second. Let's finish up this full screen paywall using their templates. So the package, this is where you choose what is being shown to buy. Now we only have one thing in our offering, that's our annual, so that's all we got. But package detail, this is where you configure the text that's above it. See, it says full access for just $39.99 a year. Well, this is utilizing variables. So you could just type in whatever you want here, but see these curly braces? And I wish they could like let us copy and paste this, because a lot of their dummy data or their placeholders are actually good and valid, but I have to like retype it and remember what it was. So we'll say full access for just, and again, see, like I can't even remember what it was, but this is the a variable here. So total price and per month. So if I go up to their documentation here, this creating paywalls documentation, you can see it's on the left under the tools section. I'll move that above my head there. Creating paywalls. Charlie here has a great half-hour-long video that I watched a bunch trying to prepare for this video. You'll see some similarities for sure. You can walk through that whole thing, but I'm gonna scroll down to the variables. So here they are. So these are the variables that you can use in your packages here. Product name, price, total price, and per month. That's what you get here, right? This $39.99 or $3.33 a month. That's what you see normally. So your variables you want to put in between the double curly braces. So I'm going to copy that just like you see here. So I'll say full access for just, and then double curly brace, paste that in there, double curly brace. And now what you see on my preview here is the actual variable. Well, you can change this here and it just puts in dummy data. So I can go to display settings, variable preview values, and you can see that's what it would actually look like without the variable. So you can switch back to your view here. And by the way, I have to scroll up and down. That's just because my screen is blown up. On a normal screen, this will all be like in full display. So, okay, anyway, uncheck that. So that's when we don't have a free trial. So when we want a free trial, we want to show something different, right? You see their placeholder value says get sub offer duration. That would be like 7 days free, then $39 a year, whatever yours is. So again, I wish I could just allow this to be the thing, but I have to remember it and type it. So it's going to be get sub offer duration, free, then price per period. So get, and then I'm gonna, again, make sure I avoid typos, sub offer duration from the variables, here, double curly brace, free, then I believe it was just total price. Yeah, we'll say price per period, because that's just $39.99 a year. Double curly brace, price per period. So now when in the display settings, I can say introductory offer values, and then gotta go back to off the variables. There we go. So get 1 month free, then $39.99 a year. So you can see how you can play with the variables to make this say whatever you like. Now, the reason this is so cool is because this is kind of easy to do here in this editor. If you're building your own paywall, if you've done that before these paywalls existed with RevenueCat, you have to fetch all this stuff yourself from like a network call. And then you have to parse it out and then you have to piece it back together within your own paywall UI and do the calculations for like the proper discount and then check for if they're eligible for a free trial and all that stuff. These paywalls bundle all that work into this UI here remotely. And it's amazing the amount of work that's being done for you. Again, I think you can only appreciate that if you've built it all on your own first, and then these come along. So a lot of great stuff being done for you under the hood here. So that's the package. We already did our call to action. Well, I didn't do this. So I can say get creator view pro. This is the, what do you want to put on the button. And then if they are eligible for a free trial, then it can say start free trial. And again, same thing, you can change the color of the button, the text, we already messed with that colors here. Footer links, this is, as you see, restore purchases. You can see terms of service URL, so https creatorview.app/terms of service. And then I'm gonna copy this because it's basically the same thing for privacy. So now you can see restore purchase, terms and conditions, privacy policy. Now the cool thing here is that, see how its terms and condition got broken onto 2 lines because it's long? It will intelligently make this 1 line. So it'll just say like restore, it'll just say terms, and then privacy. So it intelligently adjusts so you don't have a weird UI. Okay, so that's our footer links. Again, just a recap. Call to action was the button, what you want to say on the button, the color, the package, this is actually what you're selling, and then how you want to display the price, the discount, all that stuff. Main content, this is your title, your subtitle, what color the background is, and then you change the image. So again, you can't change all that much, but that's kind of the point, right? They give you this template. Again, if you want total freedom, it's when you do the footer view. But now that we have our paywall created, let's hit create paywall. And then if I go back, go to my offerings, you see annual only. It's called Jaguar, that's like the code name for the template. But okay, so our annual plan is the current offering. So when I run my app, this is the offering that it will go to. So back in Xcode, let's actually start showing this. So here I am in my app here. I'm configuring RevenueCat here, but on my content view, a simple modifier will show your paywall. So set paywall, oh, never mind. I have to import RevenueCat UI first. So import RevenueCat UI. Now I'll have access to this .paywall. I want to say present paywall if needed. So let's actually do that so we can get some more autocomplete. Present paywall if needed. So the first one's kind of self-explanatory. So if you want to bring in a different font, should display. This is if you want to show this based on certain logic, right? You would pass in a bool here. And then there's 2 completion handlers for a successful purchase and a successful restore. I don't know, maybe on a successful purchase, you want to make it rain down confetti or whatever stuff you need to do on a successful purchase, you get a completion handler for that. So we're going to do paywall if needed with required entitlement identifier. So again, the entitlement is what they got. So our entitlement is Creator View Pro. They get access to everything with Pro. So now you just have to pass in a string for the entitlement identifier. So if I go back to RevenueCat here on the internet, go to my entitlements just to see what this is. So you can see the only entitlement I have, which is unlimited access to all features, is called Pro. Go ahead and copy that there. Back to Xcode, and I'm going to put in Pro. So essentially what this line of code is doing, if my user doesn't have the entitlement of Pro, show the paywall. So if you're following along, this is going to spam every free user every time they launch the app with the paywall. That may seem aggressive to you, but a lot of apps do that, and it is a viable strategy potentially for your situation. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to do that so I can show you what this paywall looks like and how these remote paywalls work. So I'm running the app, and you should see as soon as it fires up, the paywall slide up. Yep, there it goes. So, okay, so there's our paywall from the backend. You can see how it came out. Like I said, restore purchases, terms, privacy policy. It made sure that was online. You can see the pricing I have set up. This was set up in my StoreKit config file, by the way. You can see annual $29.99. That's where it's pulling that from. Real quick, this blue X over here, this is based on your asset color. So if you do accent color, pull it up here. I don't know, just for us, we'll do system teal. And then when I rerun it, you'll see that teal color come up, but I also want to make another change. So now we have the paywall inner app, right? You're going to see, I'm not going to change any code, but if I go to my paywalls, go back to this paywall. Now let's say I want to change the call to action button to, instead of teal, let's make it really ugly puke green. Hit save changes. We're going to change it back. But then I go back to Xcode, right? I didn't change any code. I didn't do anything. I'm just going to rerun it. You're going to see the button be a different color now. And this shows the power of just changing things on the fly on the back end. Looks like crap, but hey, there you go. You can quickly make changes. And again, you can do this to your text, your image. Now you see our X is teal color. Just wanted to show you how to change that. So now when I go ahead and try to make the purchase, get Creator View Pro, great, we're subscribing to the annual. Great, you're all set, good to go. Paywall dismisses, show paywall. Now if I stop it and run it, just to show you that this code is working, right? The present paywall if needed, right? It's checking this entitlement. So now I have purchased it. So now the paywall doesn't show up because I am a paid user and I have access to everything. So that is the full-blown paywall. And again, I showed you this little modifier if you want to show it on launch. But like I said, many of you probably feel that's aggressive and you want to show it based on certain logic. So let me show you how to do that. So let's get rid of this modifier and go to the content view. Real quick, the benefit of that modifier, see paywall if needed, it's running all the checks for you. If you just want to call the view, if I go to content view, import RevenueCat UI, well, if you just do paywall view, this is RevenueCat's paywall view. Actually, I need to show this based on a button tap. So we'll do at state private var is showing paywall equals false. And then on the button tap, we want to do is showing paywall equals true. Again, basic SwiftUI stuff. On the button here, we'll add a sheet is presented, $ is showing paywall. And then the content will be paywall view. That's what we want to show. So anyway, the point here is you need to handle the logic on your own. So when you're using just this paywall view, like I'm going to show you real quick, it pop up. But when you're using this outside of that, if paywall is needed, you have to run your own logic. But I hit show paywall, there it is. So maybe you want to show a paywall on a button tap, right? Maybe you want to have an upgrade button. Or maybe you only want to show a paywall in certain circumstances. Like in my app, I allow a certain number of schedule items on the calendar. Once they hit, over 10 schedule items and they're not subscribed, boom, show the paywall. So the difference between that modifier, show paywall, is needed. It handles all that conditional checking for you. If you show it yourself like this, you have to properly check if they're subscribed already or not, and whatever conditional you want before you show the paywall. And I actually want to reiterate all the stuff that's going on here when I go back to the simulator here and showing the paywall. Like this view here is doing so much for you. Again, if you built the paywall yourself, you had to fetch what products you wanted to show, which is our annual plan. You had to fetch the pricing, and then you had to do your own math if you wanted to show the monthly version. And then you had to do all the logic for like make purchase and handle all the errors and all this stuff. Like this paywall, again, is doing so much for you. But yeah, this paywall is nice and all, but I don't want to be restricted by a template. I want to design my own paywall, as you see here. I want scrolling, I want videos, I want feature comparisons. I don't want to be limited by your template, as nice as it is. So that brings us to the footer view, and again, this is what I'm excited about. So let's stop this and go back to the RevenueCat website, go back to our offerings here, our paywalls. So we're gonna do the footer view on our annual and monthly, and we're gonna create a different paywall for this. So add paywall, and we want to pick the one that has 2 options, right? Because obviously we wanna show monthly and annual. So now we do basically the same thing, except this one's a little different because we only care about the footer. So if I do images, I don't really care about the background images, so I'm gonna leave those blank. Main content, it says required, because by default, this will show the full paywall view. In our code, which you'll see, we have to specify that we want the footer view. So just to save time, I'm gonna say like not needed, nothing, because we're not gonna show that part, right? We only care about this footer view here. So when we get to the packages, these 2 things down here is what we care about. So package 1, yeah, we want annual on the top, that's fine. So see, requires 2 items. So we're gonna add another package. As you see on the right, it added another option. So we wanna do monthly. And again, this is all attached to our offering, our monthly and annual offering that you saw. I'm gonna go back just to show you. Actually going to the offering, you can see annual and monthly. There's 2 products, annual and monthly. So again, this is how offerings tie to paywalls. Whatever's in your offering is what you're gonna have as an option on your paywall. So back to paywalls, add a paywall. Again, we wanna click the option that has multiples. And for, I think I lost my stuff, that's fine. So main content, say nothing. Subtitles, nothing. I don't care about that aspect of it. Now, packages, like I said, annual is fine, add package. Let's add the monthly package. Default package, I want annual to be the default, right? That's usually the better one, so I want to default to annual. Package name, now you can either have the product name, which is gonna be whatever you named your product, Creator View Pro, or whatever fun name you came up with. I'm just gonna do the period, so monthly or annual, and package details. So I'm gonna do what they have here, total price and per month. So again, back to the documentation, so I can copy and paste this. These variables, right? Copy and paste, double curly brace, there it is. Copy this for the introductory offer. I'm just copying again what they have in there. I think they're good defaults. So total price per month after sub offer duration trial. So there's total price per month after sub offer duration trial. And just to make sure I have that correct, we can again go back up here, display settings, let's do variable preview values. So now you see annual, $39.99 a month, $3.33. Same thing for the monthly. And if we do introductory offer values, there you go, $39.99 per year after 1 month free trial, after 14-day free trial. So it'll show you how that works. Cool, good to go there. So I believe that's our packages set up. Oh, no, we got to do our selection call to action. So again, I want this to be teal. I don't have anything to pull it from, so I'm just gonna kind of grab a color that kind of looks like that there. Okay, sounds good. Same thing for dark mode. Going to go ahead and grab that. And I believe this text might need to change. Let me go to dark mode to see if I need to change anything. Nope, text is good there. Oh yeah, black. I want the text to be white here on the button. So this will be the button text. I guess I could have just yanked it up there, white there. So there we go. Cool. So now my buttons look good in lighter dark mode. Call to action. So again, this is the button here. So we'll say get Creator View Pro, or start free trial. And then the button, we don't want to be blue. Again, we'll keep the button the same color here. Keep going with our theme. Same thing within dark mode. You can just X out the dark mode, it's optional. I'm just doing it right now, just in case you wanted a different color for light or dark mode. Footer links, I'm gonna leave those blank for now. You see restore purchases. You saw me enter in a URL before, simple stuff, just to save time, keep it moving. So again, I don't really care about the main body. I only care about the footer view. And if I can check that out in footer, so we'll go footer. Now they also have footer condensed. So if I go to display footer condensed, as you see right now, you can see both plans, annual and monthly. Condensed goes down to this little guy here where you can hit show all plans. You'll see that when I run it, and it'll pop up the plans. So actually I'm gonna go to my main content because this changes the background. So the background color of my footer for light mode, I wanna be just ever so dark. You'll see because it blends in with my paywall. Kind of like on light mode, the sheets are just slightly gray. Same thing with dark mode paywalls, they're just a slightly lighter black. They're not full on black. So that's what we're gonna go with, as you can see there. So cool, now I got my, I'm gonna hit create paywall, don't forget to do that. But now I got my footer paywall set up for my annual monthly plan. So now what I wanna do is go to my offerings and make sure my annual monthly plan is the current offering. So make that current. That way, this is what I wanna show, right? I wanna show my annual monthly plan, which is also tied to the footer view paywall that we just created. Okay, so back to Xcode, let's actually use this. So right now let's get the preview up and running so we can see, right? We're showing the paywall on a button tap. Cool, but we're showing this paywall view. Well, I have this scrolling paywall view, which is from my app. It's a crap ton of code, don't even bother. But right, it plays a video. I get to show features side by side. If I scroll, I can show little feature highlights. I can show my widgets, my app store, how can I cancel, right? Anything I wanna add to my paywall, I have in a scroll view. The world is my oyster right here. I can do whatever I want. So on my scrolling paywall back in my content view, instead of showing paywall view, I want to show scrolling paywall view. And here's the difference, right? Because I can just hit the button now and it'll show that, but there's no RevenueCat stuff here, right? So get rid of that. What I need to do to get my footer view is .paywall footer. And here's the parameter, as you can see, condense. Again, same thing for fonts. And then there's a completion handler for purchase or restore. Again, if you want to show confetti on a successful purchase, whatever you want to do. So we just want condensed here. And I'm going to say true. And I'll show you what that means. You can't have it by default be expanded. And again, I'm showing the paywall on a button tap. In a real app, you would have to do all your own logic to show your paywall when it's appropriate for the user, check if they're already subscribed, all that stuff. So show paywall. Great, there's my paywall, and you can see I'm scrolling through the paywall and I got my footer view down there. You see it says all plans, restore purchases. So if I tap all plans, there you go, it expands monthly, annual. Now, the reason I like this is because let's say you had annual, monthly, weekly, lifetime. Maybe you had 4 plans. Well, you can imagine if you have the expanded version, it's gonna take up like the whole paywall. So like, what's the point of having your own content behind it if it's so tall? So that's why I like this condensed version. So you can show your default plan, which is the annual plan. You can see $29 a year, $249 a month, but they can hit all plans to see monthly or annual. And if we Command Shift A to double check dark mode, go to all plans, so yep, looks good in dark mode as well. But like I said, to me, this is the killer feature, right? I really love having a video on my paywall to explain my app and show it. There's voiceover too, I'm not playing that. I wanna show all this, basically anything I wanna do. And I get to bring in RevenueCat to handle all the dirty work, handle all the hard stuff. I get to play around and have fun. RevenueCat, you do the dirty work. Okay, we'll stop this and back to the RevenueCat website to talk about experiments. And obviously, this is a dummy project. I don't have millions of users to run an experiment on to show you, so I'm gonna have to show you some images here. But if I go to experiments, we can create a new experiment. Now, experiment, it's like an A/B test, right? I wanna compare one paywall to the other. So we'll say annual only versus monthly and annual, right? That's the experiment we wanna run. Backing up, remember, in a real experiment, we would wanna use the exact same paywall design with the only difference being one option of annual only, and the other offering is just monthly and annual. That's the only change, right? You want to control the variables to test for that. In our case, we have 2 different paywalls for each offering. So this would be an example of a bad experiment because we're trying to test too much all at once, but I want to point that out. The control variant, this is what you normally offer. So let's say we normally offer annual and monthly, like that's pretty standard. But we want to test like, hey, what happens if we only offer annual? Let's see what happens when we do that. And then the enrollment criteria, all apps, all countries. Now, new customers to enroll, this is cool. So this will put 100% of new people in your app into this experiment. They'll get the A/B test of annual only or annual and monthly. But let's say you have 300 million users and you want to run this small test, but you don't want everyone to go into it, right? That's kind of risky. So you can say, hey, I only want 20% of my new users going into this. So again, it's up to you and how many users you have to determine, do you want to run this experiment on everyone or just a small subset, and then balance the pros and cons of like how quickly you'll get the data. So anyway, I'm going to put that up to 100, let's hit create experiment. Oh, that experiment already exists. I was doing my rehearsal and testing. So let's say put a 2 after it. Once you have created the experiment, you have to hit start. As you can see, this is a bunch of empty data here. But if I go to the experiments, this is a documentation, which tells you all about it, gives you an example. You get to pick your metric. This is an example of just real lifetime value. Again, this is an image, so I can actually change that. But you can see all kinds of different metrics. What I liked about this is the customer journey tables here. You can see between the control and the treatment, what is the change, right? How many users converted on the control and the treatment? How many trials started? How many trials completed? How many trials converted? Like you see the whole customer journey based on each paywall. And you can see like a whole lot more revenue, total MRR between each one. So you can run all these experiments between the 2 different paywalls to really dial it in and just ultimately make more money at the end of the day, right? If you have a high converting paywall, you just make more money. And the last bit of customization you can do is getting more advanced, but I want to show it to you just in case you want to go down this rabbit hole. But you can attach JSON to your offering so that you can change your custom paywall on the fly too. Let me walk through that to show it to you. So back in my paywall here, offerings, annual and monthly, see metadata, a JSON object that allows remotely configurable variables into your apps. So I'm gonna hit new metadata. Now let me go to my Xcode here to show you my scrolling paywall. Okay, without the footer view, you just see the paywall for the example. So what this allows me to do, when I fetch the offering, I can attach JSON to it. So the example here is, let's say I wanna test it with a video and without a video and see which one converts better. Maybe the video is too distracting. I can pass in the JSON of like, hey, show video and it's either true or false. And then I pull from that JSON when I pull up my paywall, and whether I change that on the backend, and that's the key here. I can change it on the backend whenever I want, true or false. It will show or hide that. And I can change the title here of maximize YouTube success to, whatever title I want. I can change basically anything on this paywall from the backend by injecting the JSON. So let's do that real quick with a super simple example. Back to the internet here. So here's my JSON. We'll say show video. And that is going to be a Boolean. We'll say true by default. Now that's just one property, right? I could have, title test. Oh, I forgot my comma. My point is you can make this JSON have as much data as you want. And then when you pull that JSON, you can extract it and then do whatever you want on your paywall in your app. Let me show you again with the super basic one of show video or not showing video. Okay, so I'm going to save that metadata. So now my offering of annual and monthly has JSON attached to it. And it's very simple JSON, just show video. Again, it can be more complex and it's going to give me a Boolean. So now back in Xcode, that's all I have to do over here, back in my content view. Well, I need to fetch that offering and get that JSON. So when my button appears, we'll do .task. Right, this is where you do your network calls. Say guard let offering equals try. And I'm force unwrapping this just for the sake of the tutorial. Go ahead and do the do, try, catch, handle the error, all that stuff. Oh wait, purchases. Again, so purchases is the RevenueCat SDK.shared.offerings.current. So essentially what this is doing, this is pulling the current offering. Oh, cannot find purchase in scope because I need to import RevenueCat. That's why it didn't fully autocomplete for me. And then say else return. All right, I'm gonna make my code a little smaller. So what I'm doing here is I am pulling the offering from this network call and I'm force unwrapping just for the sake of the video, handle all the errors. Same thing with this empty return on the guard statement. You want to do proper error handling, but I'm pulling the current offering. And if you remember back in RevenueCat, the offerings, go back to offerings, the current one is annual and monthly. So this is what I'm pulling in, and this is the one that has the JSON attached to it. So back to Xcode, I need to pull from that JSON if I should show the video or not. So we're going to have a state variable here at state private var should show video is false. We're not going to show the video by default. So now I want to do should show video equals offering dot metadata, get metadata value for, and this is the key, right? So if I go back to RevenueCat here, let's go back to my JSON. So the key here is this show video. So I'm going to copy that show video. It's got to be a string though. So the string is show video. And then the default is Boolean, so I'm going to make that false, right? So if for some reason this comes back bad, well, our default value is false. We're only going to show the video if we made it true in our JSON, which it is true in our JSON. So when we run this, I should see my video. But first, I got to do a quick little code on my scrolling paywall here. So here's my scrolling paywall. Again, a whole bunch of code, kind of relevant to you. So I have a paywall video view. So I want a binding. So binding var should show video, and that is a bool. So here on this paywall here, I'll say if should show video. I'm just doing some quick down and dirty code here. Then we will show the paywall. So if that's true, then we show the video. If it's false, then we do not. Got to go ahead and fix my preview here. So we'll say .constant is false. And all right, back to my content view. I need to pass in that binding. So I want to pass in $ should show video. So what happens is I run my network call, I get the offering, I get the value of my metadata, set my should show video to that, which updates this state, which then gets passed down to my scrolling paywall to either show or hide the video. So when I run it, we should see the video because in my metadata up here, it is true. So we'll test both ways. So let's run it. I should see the video on my paywall. Show paywall, there's the video, there's the paywall, good to go. Okay, let's go edit this on the back end. Again, I'm not changing any code. We're gonna edit this on the back end. Edit, this is now false. And the key thing is like when you can edit stuff on the back end, that means you can run A/B tests against it and experiments. So again, I can run the experiment, video, no video on 2 paywalls and see how they perform. So let's save it. And then now back to Xcode. Again, I didn't change any code, just rerun it, and I should see no video. No video, just get right into the features, right into that. So again, that's the power of metadata, is as you can see, I can create JSON where I can pull data from and then manipulate my custom UI however I see fit. Again, if I want to change the title of Maximize Your YouTube Success, maybe I want to show different features in my feature set. Again, I can do anything I want to make this customized and then run experiments against it on the back end. So again, this new paywalls, whether it's running experiments on different offerings or just different UI in your custom paywall, super powerful, such a great addition from RevenueCat.